Welcome, everyone. Today, we're diving deep into the story of Mark Sanchez, a name that once carried the weight of one of the biggest media markets in the world, a quarterback whose career unfolded like a Hollywood script filled with soaring highs, painful lows, and ultimately, personal redemption. This isn't just a story about football. It's about identity, pressure, resilience, and the courage to keep going when the lights dim. Whether you remember him leading the Jets to back-to-back AFC championships or recall his career's more humbling moments, one thing's certain. Mark Sanchez lived through it all and came out stronger, wiser, and more self-aware. Mark Travis John Sanchez was born on November 11, 1986, in Long Beach, California, a city alive with competition, grit, and community. From the very beginning, he was surrounded by discipline and structure. His father, Nick Sanchez, was a firefighter, a man of order, endurance, and service. Growing up in a family of 3 boys, Mark's world revolved around sports, camaraderie, and high expectations. The Sanchez household wasn't lavish, but it was rich with values, respect, perseverance, and humility. His father believed that no dream was unreachable, but that every dream came with a price, the price of commitment. Mark was naturally athletic, blessed with quick reflexes, a sharp mind, and that magnetic confidence that separates good athletes from great leaders. He began to take sports seriously early in his life, playing baseball, basketball, and of course, football. But football gave him something special, a stage where his leadership could shine. He was competitive in every sense, yet remarkably composed for his age. When he walked onto the field at Mission Viejo High School, he wasn't just another kid with a football. He was a young man determined to make his name known. Under the mentorship of Coach Bob Johnson, a well-respected quarterback coach in California, Mark honed his mechanics, decision-making, and presence. His accuracy, poise under pressure, and natural charisma quickly turned heads. By the time he was a senior, he was ranked among the top high school quarterbacks in the nation. College scouts from across the country came calling, but there was one school that captured his imagination: the University of Southern California. For a California kid, playing quarterback at USC wasn't just an opportunity, it was a legacy. The Trojans were a powerhouse, a team synonymous with excellence. At the time, USC was producing NFL-caliber quarterbacks like Carson Palmer and Matt Leinart. Joining that lineage was an honor and a challenge. Sanchez committed to USC in 2005, ready to take on whatever came his way. But the early years were not easy. Sanchez arrived at USC as a backup, sitting behind Heisman Trophy winner Matt Leinart. When Leinart left, John David Booty took the reins. Mark had to wait his turn, and for a young athlete accustomed to being the star, patience became the hardest play to master. But rather than sulking or transferring, Sanchez treated those years as his apprenticeship. He studied under Coach Pete Carroll, absorbed film study sessions, learned to lead quietly, and understood the mental side of the game. Finally, in 2008, his moment arrived. When Booty went down with an injury, Sanchez stepped into the spotlight. What followed was nothing short of electric. In his first full season as a starter, Sanchez led the Trojans to a 12-1 record, capped off with a dominant Rose Bowl victory over Penn State. His performance was masterful, for 113 yards passing, for touchdowns, and a command of the game that felt mature beyond his experience. The Trojans were ranked among the best teams in the nation, and Sanchez's name shot up the NFL draft boards. It was a magical season, one that felt like destiny, but it was also fleeting. With only one full year of starting experience, Sanchez made a bold decision that would define the rest of his career. He declared for the NFL draft. Many pundits argued he wasn't ready, that he needed another year of development. But Sanchez, fueled by confidence and guided by his belief in preparation, bet on himself. And in 2009, his bet paid off. The New York Jets traded up to the 5th overall pick to select Mark Sanchez, believing he could be their franchise quarterback, the face that would lead them to glory. He became the first rookie quarterback in Jets history to start the season opener since Joe Namath. That alone set the stage for enormous expectations. New York, a city that thrives on stars and stories, immediately placed Sanchez under a microscope. But what happened next was almost cinematic. In his rookie season, Sanchez helped guide the Jets to the AFC Championship Game. A rookie quarterback, in New York, leading a team deep into the playoffs. It was unheard of. The following year, he did it again, defeating future Hall of Famers like Peyton Manning and Tom Brady along the way. The city that never sleeps had found its new hero. The headlines read Sanchez. The future looked limitless. At just 24 years old, Mark Sanchez had the world at his feet. He had commercials, endorsement deals, and the love of a fan base starving for success. But as quickly as fame comes, the pressure multiplies. The NFL isn't just about talent. It's about endurance, adaptation, and luck. And for Sanchez, that pressure began to build with every incomplete pass, every interception, every headline that turned from praise to criticism. The Jets' roster began to shift. Coaches came and went, and offensive stability faded. The chemistry that had once lifted them began to dissolve. By 2012, the narrative surrounding Sanchez had changed drastically. Instead of being celebrated, he was now the target of late-night jokes and harsh media critiques. Then came the infamous butt fumble, a single, unfortunate play on Thanksgiving night against the New England Patriots that became one of the most replayed bloopers in NFL history. For many players, that moment might have been the breaking point. And truthfully, it hurt Sanchez deeply. Overnight, he went from being the Sanchez to being a meme. But what makes Mark's story worth telling is not how far he fell, but how he handled the fall. He didn't run from it, didn't lash out, didn't crumble. Instead, he owned it. Years later, he's even joked about it himself, showing a sense of humor and humility that many athletes in his position never find. After his time with the Jets ended, Sanchez bounced around the league. He joined the Philadelphia Eagles, where he played solid football as a backup and even led the team to a few crucial wins when called upon. Later stints with the Dallas Cowboys, Chicago Bears, and Washington football team followed. Each chapter was different, but each showed his evolution. He went from being the young phenom to the veteran mentor, the guy younger quarterbacks could look up to, learn from, and talk to. Sanchez knew his physical gifts wouldn't last forever, but his football mind, leadership, and character would always have value. And when his playing days ended, he transitioned seamlessly into a new career that seemed tailor-made for him: broadcasting. He joined ESPN and later Fox Sports, bringing his knowledge, charisma, and charm to television. What's most admirable about Mark Sanchez's journey isn't just what he did on the field, it's how he handled everything off it. Few athletes experience the highs of fame and the sting of public ridicule in such extremes. Yet Sanchez managed both with grace. He's spoken openly about the pressures of professional sports, the importance of mental health, and how he found balance after football. He's also used his platform to inspire others, mentoring young athletes, supporting youth programs, and encouraging players to think about life beyond the game. Sanchez understands something many athletes learn too late. Football is what you do, not who you are. And when that realization hits, you're free to grow into something even greater. Looking back, it's easy to judge Sanchez's career purely by stats. 86 touchdowns, 89 interceptions, and a completion percentage just under 57%. But that doesn't capture the full story. He was one of the few quarterbacks to reach back-to-back AFC championships in his first 2 seasons. He led one of the most storied franchises in sports through a rebirth of belief. He showed millions that resilience matters more than reputation. When you peel back the layers of his story, you find a deeply human tale, one of expectation, imperfection, and endurance. Mark Sanchez's career is a reflection of what it means to live under a microscope and still find your peace. He taught us that life isn't about avoiding mistakes, but learning to laugh at them, grow from them, and rise above them. There's a certain beauty in how Sanchez's story came full circle. From the bright lights of New York to the quiet grace of the broadcast booth, he never stopped evolving. His career might not have ended with confetti or a ring, but it ended with purpose, and that's far more valuable. In many ways, Mark Sanchez embodies what it means to be human in the modern sports world. Talented yet flawed, confident yet humble, tested yet unbroken. He lived the dream, faced the nightmare, and emerged whole. That's not failure. That's victory of another kind. And maybe that's why his story still resonates today. Because we see ourselves in him. In his confidence, his mistakes, his perseverance. We all have our but fumble moments. Times when we stumble, fall, and get laughed at. But like Mark Sanchez, what defines us isn't the fall itself, but how we get back up. Now, as he continues to carve his path as a broadcaster and mentor, Sanchez's impact goes beyond football. He's proof that success can take many forms, that the measure of a man isn't in his statistics, but in his spirit. So as we look back on the journey of Mark Sanchez, from the golden lights of USC to the roaring chaos of the NFL, through the criticism and comebacks, and into a life of wisdom and influence, we see a man who never stopped striving. He showed us that greatness isn't always about championships. Sometimes it's about courage. Sometimes it's about perspective. And sometimes it's simply about learning to smile through the noise and keep moving forward. Mark Sanchez's legacy is one of redemption, not the kind you win, but the kind you grow into. He's a reminder that you can be the punchline of a joke and still walk away the hero of your own story. Thank you for watching and joining us on this journey through the remarkable life of Mark Sanchez, the quarterback who reminded us that every stumble is just a step toward strength, and every ending can be the start of something greater. If this story inspired you, don't forget to like this video, share it with a friend who needs a reminder to keep pushing, and subscribe for more stories of resilience, heart, and human greatness.